in relation to the decision by several committees to enter interinstitutional negotiations pursuant to Rule 72, paragraph 1, announced at the opening of the session on Monday, the 19th of January. I have received no request for a vote in Parliament by members or political groups reaching at least the medium threshold. The committees may therefore start negotiations. The next item on the agenda is the joint debate concerning the European Council meeting. First, we have European Council and Commission statements, conclusions of the European Council meeting of the 18th of December 2025, and European Council and Commission statements, a stronger and more sovereign Europe amid rising geopolitical tensions and continuous threat to the rules-based order. We will start with the President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, to take the floor. Antonio, go ahead.
Madam President Metsola, Madam President von der Leyen, honourable members, me gustaría empezar por expresar mis más sinceras condolencias por las víctimas de los accidentes ferroviarios ocurridos en los últimos días en España. Todo mi apoyo para sus familiares y seres queridos. The debate we are having today in this House could not be more timely. Let's face it, taken together, the geopolitical challenges Europe is facing sometimes seems daunting. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, the international rules-based order being undermined, core alliances being questioned. But the European Union will come out of this stronger, more resilient and more sovereign. For this to happen, our response must have three components: a Europe of principles, a Europe of protection, and a Europe of prosperity. All these three dimensions are being tested in the current moment of transatlantic relations. That is the reason why I decided to convene a meeting of the European leaders for tomorrow about transatlantic relations. Having listened to Member States in the run-up to this meeting, I believe a few fundamental elements are broadly shared. First, we are united around the principles of international law, territorial integrity and national sovereignty. Second, we are united in full support and solidarity with the Kingdom of Denmark and with Greenland. Only they, Denmark and Greenland, can decide on their future. Third, we recognise that there is a shared transatlantic interest in peace and security in the Arctic, notably working through NATO. Fourth, further tariffs would undermine transatlantic relations and are incompatible with the EU-US agreement. Fifth, we stand ready to defend ourselves, our member states, our citizens, our companies against any form of coercion. And the European Union has the power and the tools to do so. Sixth, we want to continue engaging constructively with the United States, of course, on all issues of common interest, and there are many, since we are partners and allies and share a transatlantic community. I believe these are the principles that should guide the discussions between our leaders tomorrow and our actions going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, the first way to Europe to become stronger and more sovereign is to remain a firm champion of the international rules-based order, international law and multilateralism. We will always uphold the principles enshrined in the United Nations Charter and defend human dignity and individual freedoms. We cannot accept that the law of the strongest prevails over the rights of the weakest, Because international rules are not optional. An alliance cannot just boil down to a sequence of transactions. We cannot accept violations of international law anywhere, whether in Ukraine, Greenland, Latin America, Africa, or in Gaza. We cannot accept violations of human rights, whether in Iran, in Sudan, or in Afghanistan. In times like these, principles matter more than ever, because reliability is strength and consistency are key. The second way for Europe to become stronger and more sovereign is by better protecting our citizens. In 2025, we focused on the priority of Europe of defence and of accelerating our work towards European defence readiness. We have built the main building blocks. We are now working tirelessly to deliver, to invest better, coordinate more, improve efficiency, strengthen our European defence industry, and deploy new financial instruments. But long-term security in Europe cannot be upheld through increased investment and cooperation in defence alone. It must be achieved through a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, because Ukraine's security is Europe's security. Our response has been clear since the first day of Russia's war of aggression: to provide full support to Ukraine, financially, in terms of security, for reconstruction, and on its path to the European Union membership. At the last December European Council, recalling the commitment made in October to address Ukraine's urgent financial needs for 2026-2027, leaders took two historic decisions. First, we approved a 90 billion common European loan, backed by the European Union budget, to cover Ukraine's financial needs over the next 2 years. Second, Ukraine will begin repaying this loan only once Russia pays reparations, and until that time, the Union reserves the right to make use of immobilized Russian assets to ensure repayment. So, on Ukraine, we committed and we delivered, because in times of crisis, the European Union steps up, assumes its responsibilities, and acts decisively. Ladies and gentlemen, the third way for Europe to become stronger and more sovereign is to prosper economically. Just as leaders provided strong momentum to the Europe of defence in 2025, we must do the same for Europe's economy this year, 2026, working hand in hand with the Commission and the European Parliament to give a new impetus to Europe's economic growth, innovation and resilience. We must deliver for our citizens on quality jobs, wages and housing affordability, because social cohesion and prosperity are two sides of the same coin. On their own, neither would be sustainable. That is why, on the 12th of February, I will convene a strategic brainstorming session of European leaders to discuss how best to harness the full potential of Europe's single market in the new geoeconomic context. The European Union is a powerful single market. We need to deepen it to complete it. How? By making it easier to bring businesses, services and investments across borders, by reducing red tape at all levels while maintaining our policy ambitions, by combining affordable, secure and sustainable energy sources, in a truly integrated European energy market, by strengthening our digital sovereignty, defending our standards and regulatory independence against tech oligarchs, while protecting our children from deregulated and unconstrained social media, by promoting a savings and investment union that channels savings into productive investments within the European Union, and through trade. Trade deals are global rule books. Tariffs are taxes on citizens and companies. The European Union has built the most extensive network of trade agreements covering 78 countries, and the Commission is making impressive progress in negotiation with countries like India, Australia, Thailand, Philippines and the United Arab Emirates, to name just few. Just last week, we signed the historic Mercosur Treaty, which will create the largest free trade zone in the world, a market of more than 700 million consumers in 31 countries. Its political and economic significance cannot be overstated, especially in the current context. This agreement has not only economic value, is a decisive geopolitical significance right this moment. This agreement sends a powerful message to the world. Instead of tariffs, the European Union offers partnerships. Instead of spheres of influence, we are creating spheres of shared prosperity. The signing of the Mercosur Agreement followed more than 2 decades of negotiations. During this time, all points of view, including those voiced in this House, were carefully listened to and acted upon. For example, last month, significant additional measures and safeguards were put in place. I now look forward to working with you on the next steps, for which the role of the Parliament is essential. Honourable Members, my message today is clear. Only by combining principles, protection and prosperity can we make Europe more sovereign, more resilient and stronger. Together with the European Parliament and the European Commission, we will keep delivering for our citizens, for our collective strength and for Europe's place in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Costa. And now the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen.